Back at home, feeling misunderstood, and between these ears ain't nothing good.
All right, now we're into the Final Four, and we all have different kinds of matchups. So we'll briefly mention the matchups for the Final Four, and then we'll talk about our championship game in depth. I have on the East-West side Michigan, Gonzaga, two number one seeds, and I have Gonzaga beating the Big Blue. I think Gonzaga hasn't been touched in 2 years, haven't been beaten in 2 years. So I think the team, I'm kind of in a prove it. If you can beat them, beat them. They're putting into my championship game, and then for the South and Midwest, Baylor, Illinois, another battle of one seeds. I picked Baylor. I don't know what it is. That one was kind of just, I looked at the matchup for a while, and I was like, I can't think of a real reason why to pick either team. So I just went with Baylor just because. But I think that would be, if that ends up being one of the Final Four matchups, I don't know how good of a game Gonzaga Michigan would be, especially with injuries, but the Baylor Illinois matchup might be one of the top of the tournament.
All good points by Jimmy. I'm surprised you're doing all number one seeds. That's pretty interesting.
I didn't notice that until I was looking at it right now.
Yeah,
I don't think it's been a very, very long time since we had four number one seeds.
Four number one seeds. Yeah. I will say this. I'll back up. I have to reiterate my Final Four. I have Buckeyes, Illini, Gonzaga, and the Noles. I just think right now, kind of going into both those games, Ohio State versus Illinois. That's a Big Ten championship rematch. I think from that game proved that both those teams are battle tested, and that's why I'm very confident on both those teams. I'm not as confident on Gonzaga going to the Final Four as I am with Ohio State and Illinois, just because they have played those teams in the past in the schedule, the Kansas, the Iowa, stuff like that. But again, it's a different, it's March. It's, a whole different team, injuries. What happens if Jalen Suggs goes down? What happens, it changes the whole dynamic. COVID, yeah. So I have Illinois in my national championship game. I just think they're a complete team. They have a great coach. They have multiple ways to score the ball. They can score on three different levels: in the paint, in the mid range, and on the three line. And then on my other side, I have Gonzaga against the Noles of Florida State. I think Gonzaga is not battle tested enough. I think they go through pretty easily all the way up to about Iowa game, which I agree with Nico is going to be a tough game. And then I have Florida State beating Gonzaga and going to the national championship game. They can score on all three levels. You got to look for teams that have good coaches and can score on all three levels and play good defense. The only Achilles heel to Florida State is if they can keep the ball and not turn it over. I think that they have a really, really good chance of going to the Final Four in the national championship game.
Jeremy's going to be Jim's new favorite.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, shout out Jim. I also have 3 out of 4 one seeds in my Final Four of Gonzaga versus Alabama, and then I have Baylor versus Illinois. And I say that because of how different this year is with the bubble in Indianapolis, with COVID and all the situations. To me, that just spells upsets coming. So it makes me a little nervous having 3 one seeds, but at the end of the day, I'm going to bank on the best teams playing the best ball at the most important time of the year. So therefore, I'm going to go with Jalen Suggs and Drew Timme and Corey Kispert and Gonzaga to beat Alabama. And I really like Jared Butler, but I think Kofi Coburn and how do you say his name?
Ayo
Dosunmu are too much for Baylor to handle that low.
I'm gonna go alongside Jonah here. I have Gonzaga, Florida State. I think Jalen Suggs and Gonzaga are hitting their stride at the right time. I think Gonzaga gets back to the national championship game. It's been a minute. I think Gonzaga, could this be the year finally? I have no idea. But look, Gonzaga has the studs for it. It's not in years past where they have a good team. They finally have a star. Jalen Suggs is a star. He is going to be a stud when it comes to the NBA as well. For that reason, I give Gonzaga a slight edge over Florida State. Florida State, I think, is going to give them a run for their money. Don't get me wrong. But I'm going to take Gonzaga there. And then on the other side, Illinois, Baylor. Jared Butler from Baylor is a stud. I think he's a guy that could be a big-time player in this tournament. But Illinois, man, I cannot pick against them because what I saw in the Big Ten tournament and what I saw them during the regular season, between Kofi Coburn, Ayo Dosunmu, the list goes on and on. That team, I think, is one of the most well-rounded teams we've seen this year. For that reason, give me Illinois versus Gonzaga.
The one thing that I will say about Illinois that I totally forgot to mention, they have Andre Corbello, who was the little one guard, that number one
Freshman.
guard that he was running around all over the place. Freshman of the year
He was a pest.
in the Big Ten. So he was a beast. And I will say the one thing that we've totally forgot to mention, we've been talking for about an hour and 45 about this whole thing. And we've been talking about all of our picks and stuff like that. We can only have like a stupid Syracuse or somebody make a Final Four run, and all of our insides just goes down the wire. So we spent, we could spend 3 hours talking, and we could analyze every game and talk about an hour for it, only to have some stupid 13 seed make a huge run.
Yeah,
and
only to have
there goes our
GCU
bracket.
Close, baby.
only have GCU make an Elite Eight run.
Yeah, I'm assuming all of us will start hearing some crap once people get to the on-demand and they're watching this like the week after the tournament started, and they're like, "What? These guys
are idiots.
These guys are idiots. They don't know what's happening." That brings us to the championship matchups. We each have, I think, different championship matchups. Nobody has the same two. Mine is Baylor Gonzaga, and I pick Gonzaga. That's one where I'm picking with my heart, Jonah.
Jimmy's
That's right, baby.
finally getting Gonzaga over the hump.
They are. They're going to win the championship. They're finally going to win it. Brady, Christian, Marissa, shout out you guys. You guys are all doing great out there in Eastern Washington, and why not? Let's have them win March Madness. Bulldogs over the Bears.
Jimmy, that's a good pick. I think that's what most of America thinks, that it is their time to finally win one. I obviously don't have Gonzaga in my championship game. I have Florida State and Illinois. I could easily see Illinois versus Gonzaga in the championship game. But I will say, I think this year, just watching the Big Ten every single game, I've watched a lot of games. Again, I have not seen a team that has the it factor, that has a good coach, that can score at every single level. And honestly, if I'm looking at their bracket, they really don't play a tough team until potentially Oklahoma State or even the Elite Eight. So I'm going with Illini. It pains me to say that another Big Ten team's going to win the championship, but the Big Ten has not won a championship since technically Maryland, who beat Indiana in 2002. So it is due. A Big Ten team is due for a championship, and I'm going to put my money and chips all on the Illini.
That's a good pick, Jared. I'm going to go with, I have Gonzaga versus Illinois, and I am going with the Zags, Gonzaga Bulldogs. To me, of course, they're undefeated. We got my BPI stat that I've thrown out multiple times. They're the number one team in BPI. Again, in case you missed that stat, the top 3 BPI ranks have won the lot. Whoever's been in the top 3 BPI has won the championship the last 3 years, and Zach is number 1. I know they play in a weak conference, but they haven't been tested all year. They're well-rounded. Jalen Suggs, all the names we talked about. But I got a pop quiz for all my benchers real quick. It's been since 1976 since the team went undefeated and won the national championship. Who do you think that team was?
Wasn't it?
It was
Indiana.
That's
Good
what
job.
I was just gonna.
I didn't
Indiana.
know.
I was actually gonna bring that up. I was like, I can't pick Gonzaga because of the Hoosiers in 1976. You're right, Jonah, but it is the Hoosiers.
Damn, that's the only claim
Give
to
it the
fame
Bulldogs.
Indiana has these days, huh, Jared?
But they have the movie, remember?
That's true.
Gene
That's
Hackman?
true. That's true.
Yeah.
And the 5 banners in the chair throwing. So we got some deal. But good pick, Jonah. Good pick.
Thank
Me,
you.
I have the same final as Jonah, except I'm going to go the other direction. I'm going to go Illinois. I think, Gonzaga, I think it's going to be Heartbreak City again. Gonzaga, they got to the national championship 2 or 3 years ago, and now
Shout
they
out Josh Perkins.
Josh Perkins, former one of Jonah and I's former teammates,
Regis
cousins.
Jesuit High School.
By Gonzaga, I think they have the talent, but I think Illinois is just the complete team. I think Illinois, top to bottom, like Jeremy said, they have that young freshman guard, Ayo, Coburn, and Illinois, top to bottom. I think they're hungry. I think you look at teams. I think Gonzaga's a little too complacent because I think Gonzaga's been cakewalked through their conference. They got to the conference championship and barely got past BYU. Mm-hmm. And Illinois has just been hungry and they've been dominating anyone they put in front of them. So for that reason, I'm going Illini to take my national championship.
By the time you guys are hearing this, we're probably all
both Illinois,
stupid.
both because we have split Illinois, split Gonzaga.
Yeah.
I bet both teams lose in the second round.
Yeah.
Probably. We're not going to be anywhere near close, but that's 2 hours on college basketball. I never thought that I would be part of something like that, but Jeremy, Jonah, thank you.